People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the Wide World of Weingarten.
Wide World of Weingarten. It's Monday, April 18th, just past noon here in Los Angeles. Got a lot of baseball stuff to go over. Some news from the weekend, a couple bets for tonight, and I think I got a Cy Young future that I'm going to grab today. But first, before I get into baseball recapping, I just wanted to talk for a minute about bad advice that is going around out there in the baseball gambling markets. Unfortunately, none of this stuff is new. It's just magnified with the expansion of legal gambling and the expansion of gambling media. There's now just more and more content than ever before, and it's just impossible to fill all these hours of airtime with good content. It just is like you're gonna have some misses, like Saturday Night Live. Well, not like Saturday Night Live, because that's mostly bad content. Like, we're trying to do at least some good content, but there's just so much airtime and so much bad stuff out there that it's unavoidable. And obviously the biggest one, if you follow me at all on Twitter, that I rail about more often than not, is the explosion of no-score first inning bettors and media people who tout them and talk about them like they have any clue what they're doing. So you'll occasionally see me rail on somebody. Brad Evans was the most recent unfortunate victim, and I do point out, I don't know why I insist on doing this, but it's not personal. Like, I don't have a problem with Brad Evans as an individual. I do think that he occasionally gives out absolutely bad advice. And the worst in giving out bad advice is being unaware that you're doing, you're teaching people bad habits. It's one thing to, do it yourself. I'm never going to tell anybody, don't bet your own stuff. Don't have fun betting. It's betting. Do whatever you want. It's your money. But when you start teaching other people bad habits, that's when I start being an asshole. Just because I think one of the hardest things in gambling and gambling media is teaching people to unlearn bad habits that they've been taught by people who have no clue what they're doing in the first place. So if you see me rail on people who are doing no score first inning, or worse, telling people to parlay them and stuff, it's because that was the kind of stuff I was betting in college. And that was 15 years ago now. So if you want to bet like I did 15 years ago when I was an idiot, then keep betting no score first innings and watch your bankroll get obliterated. But it's a big red flag for me when people in sports media and people who produce content tout no score first innings, because it makes me assume that the rest of their bets are going to be equally as clueless. And again, this isn't directed at just Brad Evans. If you type in no score first inning on Twitter, you could just get pages and pages of the blind leading the blind. I think the best description that I said it was like a stupid convention in stupid town, going through the no score first inning mentions on Twitter. And I have to say, there's a lot out there that I'm clueless about. I don't have an Instagram. I don't spend time on TikTok. So I see all these touts and all this betting media stuff come out, and it really is the blind leading the blind in a lot of these cases. And it's crazy because a lot of these people have editors, and there's support people involved. It's not just a one-man show, and nobody at any point points out, hey, this is bad advice, and we're teaching people bad habits that are going to make them worse bettors. I think that's just crazy a lot of the time. And one of the things I appreciated from people at Bet Bash and just from interactions and DMs on Twitter and stuff is people thank me and say, oh, you've made me a better bettor. You've taught me a way to look at things or look at futures that I didn't think about before. And those are the nicest compliments, because that's the point, is to teach people to think better and to make money in the process, because it's making money is a byproduct in gambling of of being successful and understanding what you're doing. You don't make money with stupid negative EV bets over and over again. So I really equate no score first inning bettors to the people I see at the craps table who bet the field, and I am silently judging you if you're betting the field. I'm silently judging you if you're betting no score first innings and posting about them, but that's really all I got to say about that. Some other red flags to look for, though, because there is a lot of bad advice out there, and it's not just limited to no score first innings. If you hear an analyst or somebody on a betting show say that they think the money line in an MLB game is too expensive, so they're laying 1.5 runs betting the run line, that person probably has no clue what they're doing, and they don't have your interests in mind. They're just trying to create content. So that's a red flag. When I hear that, when I hear someone say the money line's too expensive, so I'm laying 1.5 instead, I stop listening to everything they're saying after that. Then the third thing that is absolutely a red flag, and something that you should probably consider not listening to anything that person has to say again, is if they're touting yes, no home run props, and they're touting yes, on a player at plus 250. Anything under 300 is suspicious. Even if someone was betting like a plus 350, I'd kind of eyeball them a little bit. But there's some egregious advice out there, and I saw somebody this last week tweeted about betting Byron Buxton at plus 255, and I was like, are you serious? Like, Barry Bonds wouldn't be plus 255 true odds on any given day when he was hitting 70 home runs in a season. So I don't know. I think sometimes you see these yes home run props, and they're a lot of fun. They're very cool for engagement, and I like betting them. Occasionally I have accounts that'll put them up, not often, but when I do have them, they're fun to bet. I don't make tons and tons of money off them because they're usually super low limits, but they're fun. I like watching guys hit home runs. But especially this year, Derek Carty, the Bad X guy, very, very good projection stuff. He had some numbers today that home runs are down. I think it was like 4.3%, 5% last year, whatever. So slightly less home runs this year being hit to begin with. So when I see somebody touting a plus 255 on Byron Buxton and then writing a paragraph of justification behind it, I know that this is another clueless person that doesn't have his audience's best interest in mind. So, I try not to be too much of an asshole about this stuff, on Twitter or wherever, but sometimes you really just got to beat it over somebody's head that they are inflicting harm on their audience, because, like I said, the hardest thing is teaching someone to unlearn something once they've learned the wrong way of doing something. It's the hardest thing, I think, in gambling, and it's one of the biggest obstacles to helping people become a better gambler, is they get stuck on doing the same thing over and over again that they learned, incorrectly early on. And no matter how much I tell them to stop doing something or to change how they're doing something, they're just going to keep doing it. So, you have the ability to change. Nobody's going to force you to, but if you keep giving bad advice, and if it's directly if you're giving advice to an audience and it's incorrect, somebody should tell you that it's wrong. And if there's nobody on your own editorial staff that can catch this stuff, then at some point it might be me, and it might not, because I only care so much about what other people do and have so much time on my hands. But occasionally I just see something that I have to point out is clueless, and I do. So gonna take a quick break real quick, and then I'll be back. We'll go right into baseball, and I will tell you some bets I've made, and we'll talk about what went on this weekend. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Second half of Monday's episode here. Got a lot of baseball stuff to catch up on from this last weekend. The Mets starting rotation is still missing Jacob deGrom, but they've put together 50.1 innings between their starters with 6 earned runs between them, a 1.07 ERA, 59 strikeouts in 50.1 innings against 11 walks. That's actually the best start for any starting rotation in the last 109 years, which is interesting because I was, going through some odds last night, just getting a jump start on what I wanted to look at this week in the futures market, and I saw the Westgate had dropped Jacob deGrom Cy Young to 100 to 1, which is actually the same as his MVP price, I think. Not interested in 100 to 1 at MVP with him pitching a short season, but 100 to 1 for the Cy Young is egregiously high, even if he's out another month. The plan, I believe, is he's going to have an MRI in about another week, and he could probably start throwing in the next 12 to 14 days if he's lucky. That would give him most of May to rehab and get ready, and if he's back in the Mets starting rotation on June 1st, there's absolutely no reason that deGrom could not win the Cy Young, especially if he gets a full workload. I don't think missing 7 or 8 or even 10 starts is going to make much of a difference. Obviously, it'll leave no margin for error once he comes back, but 100 to 1, I'm going to take that all day. If it's still 100 to 1 by the time this pod is out, I totally recommend betting that as well. I'd bet it down to about 60 to 1, maybe 50. Beyond that, I don't think there's a ton of value. I think you probably shop around, find some better numbers, but 100 to 1, gonna grab that myself as soon as I'm done with this. Like I said, if he's back June 1st, there's no reason he couldn't win, especially like last year. Corbin Burns only threw 168 innings, so if deGrom could get anywhere close to 150, I don't think it's going to be much of a conversation at the end of the season. But like I said, no margin for error on that 100 to 1 is what you're getting with deGrom. Shane Bieber, currently the favorite in the AL market. There's definitely some cause for concern there. His velocity and spin rates are down year over year. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting hit. He was bailed out a bunch of times in his first 2 starts, but the news is out, the velocity and the spin rate drops, you're playing with fire after that. So keep an eye on Shane Bieber. I think there's some vulnerability in the top of the AL side market right now. I don't like Cole at 5 to 1 or 6 to 1. I don't like Bieber at 4 to 1. So anybody after that, Dylan Cease I've seen has dropped a little bit. Ohtani's there. Justin Verlander 20 to 1 definitely looks good after this last game he pitched against the Mariners. But yeah, Bieber and Garrett Cole, both vulnerable favorites in the AL. Then another guy, jumping back to the NL real quick, who is falling off a little bit to start this year. Zach Wheeler was throwing 91 miles an hour in his last start this weekend. I believe that ties for about the lowest velocity of his career. It's not great for a guy who carried the Phillies and pitched over 200 innings in 2021. If he gets hurt, those innings are going to be really hard to replace for the Phillies, and they have a great lineup, but just like everybody except maybe the Dodgers, once that pitching thins out, you run into some trouble. The Mariners, jumping over to the AL West here. The Mariners rookie pitcher Matt Brash had another good start on Sunday. 5.1 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts on 85 pitches, 6 walks. A little bit concerning. Only gave up 2 runs, so the walks didn't hurt him very much, but they definitely can and will come back to hurt him if he doesn't get those under control. His stuff did look pretty nasty, though, and it's not often that you see a guy who's traded as a player to be named later end up as a starter or a Rookie of the Year contender at that. But the Mariners definitely kind of swooped him from the Padres while they weren't paying attention. So nice job there by the Mariners front office. Padres really could use all the pitching help they can get, so this hurts double bad for the Padres that this is a guy who could absolutely be in their rotation right now. But he's still about 30 to 1. I see some 30s, some 20 to 1s out there for Rookie of the Year. It's a very crowded field in the AL, but nobody's really taken advantage of it so far. So definitely worth some consideration. I think when it comes to pitchers, you're always better off taking guys with bigger numbers, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But also wanted to mention Saya Suzuki off to a great start with the Cubs. Has 4 home runs, an 8-game hitting streak, second longest for a Japanese player to begin his MLB career. Akinori Iwamura had a 9-game hitting streak in 2008. So if you were thinking Ichiro is the longest hitting streak to start your career, it is incorrect. It is Akinori Iwamura. I would not have expected that myself. But Suzuki, he's already under 2 to 1 for the NL Rookie of the Year, and I get it. He's not technically a rookie. You know, he came over from Japan where he hit like 30, 40 home runs last year, whatever. He's, you know, big numbers. Obviously, when you get a guy like that versus an actual rookie class, he'll crush a lot of the value. And under 2 to 1, I can't really advocate betting him. If he gets hurt at any point, he kind of falls off. You know, but the numbers are legit so far, and I bet him myself. Most home runs, 250 to 1, 300 to 1. Currently with 4, he's only 1 behind Vlad Jr. and I think CJ Cron. Something to keep an eye on. But definitely he's the NL front runner, and deservedly so, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing. The Dodgers, I don't know if anybody's been watching the Dodgers. I caught a couple of their games this weekend, but they are continuing to be a problem for everybody. They outscored the Twins and the Reds 40 to 9 over their last 6 games, all wins. Dodgers also winners of 19 in a row at Dodger Stadium going back to last season. So you know, they're really built. The Dodgers offense is built to just beat up on bullpens, beat up on non-starting pitching. And, you know, with starters going shorter than ever before, there aren't really many teams with the roster construction capable of competing with the Dodgers right now. You even see tonight the defending World Series champions, the Braves, are plus 190, you know, on the road, but plus 190 to the Dodgers. You know, that's just how the market views the Dodgers versus everybody, is, you know, prohibitive favorites. Do think there's some value on the Braves tonight, but I know a lot of people don't like betting against the Dodgers, but you are getting plus 190, so think about it. Some more rookie stuff. I mentioned the AL race is crowded. It's a very interesting race. You know, some years, some races are more interesting than others, and I think the AL Rookie of the Year is probably the most interesting of the 6 major markets this year so far. Jeremy Pena had a 3-hit game this weekend against the Angels. He doesn't get talked about. He's the starting shortstop for the Astros. He doesn't get the same hype as Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt, or even Steve Kwan right now. But he's kind of like Matt Brash. He's in that next tier of guys. They're putting up great numbers while everyone's paying attention to the hype guys. And Pena really deserves to be in the top tier. If I was booking it, I would flip Pena and Steve Kwan's numbers. Kwan's like 8 to 1, Pena's 14. I would absolutely flip those numbers and try to take more money on Kwan and less money on Pena right now. Hunter Green's another example of a hype guy. 59 pitches above 100 miles an hour will get your name all over everywhere MLB related. Those 59 pitches over 100 miles an hour in his first 2 starts, that's more than the Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Brewers, and Diamondbacks have recorded during the entirety of the pitch tracking era, which is since 2008. So he's thrown more 100-plus mile-an-hour fastballs in 2 starts than 4 major league organizations have in almost 14 years. So that's very impressive. But I don't think voting is that sophisticated for most of the awards voting, And voters are going to see he has 13 strikeouts and 10.1 innings. They're also going to see the 4.35 ERA and 3 home runs. And he's not going to win Rookie of the Year with a 4 ERA. He's going to have to really cut that ERA down. And to cut that ERA down, he's going to have to stop giving up home runs. I don't see that necessarily happening. So while I do think the top tier, top 1% of MLB velocity is incredible, and he's very fun to watch, I'd rather bet him on a game-by-game basis, betting his strikeout overs, betting the Reds to win, betting the Reds first 5, figuring out some some correlated stuff to him continuing to perform well, because I get the hype behind throwing hard, but Westgate already dropped him to 4-1, and I think that number is crazy, especially when you consider he maxed out at 106 innings between AA and AAA last season. So I don't know how much the Reds are going to push him late in the season if they're not contending. Would be definitely surprised to see if he got over 145, 150 innings this year. So he'll put up, if he pitches 145 innings, no doubt he'll put up 160 strikeouts or whatever. But I don't think that's going to win a Rookie of the Year with a 4+ ERA. I think he comes up short. And I mentioned the AL. The AL race is more crowded. There's no Suzuki-like favorite. There is Bobby Witt, who so far has 5 hits in the first 8 games, only 3 RBIs, no home runs, a 156 average. 182 OBP. Those numbers will obviously come up, but he's not doing anything to justify being a 3-1 favorite. J-Rod not doing a ton. He has been incredibly unlucky with some of his strikeouts to start. I expect him to perform way better. But he's not playing bad. He's just, I'd say these guys are mostly neutral over 8 games or whatever. And the numbers, you could talk about, Bobby Witt has a 156 average. It'll come up. I'm not super concerned about that kind of stuff this early. Jeremy Pena, though, 14-1 still, not as good as 25-1 last week, but he has legit numbers starting shortstop for the Astros. I mentioned he has the highest XWOBA, highest PWOBA among qualified shortstops, leading MLB in assists. He had a three-hit game this weekend. I think the second Astros player to have a three-hit game in his first 8 MLB games, for whatever that's worth. That's a guy who definitely is not getting the respect he deserves. I think Steve Kwan kind of took a lot of the hype the first week. He's down to 8-1. Pena's 14. I would absolutely flip those numbers if it was my market. Pena's the guy I don't want to be taking money on. Kwan's the guy I do want to be taking money on if I was booking this. Matt Brash also available at 30-1. Granted, it's the AL pool, not the NL pool, but how did you get Matt Brash at 30-1 and Hunter Green at 4-1 after 2 starts? It's kind of what I was saying about how early hype kind of skews a lot of these numbers. Grayson Rodriguez, another guy I talked about last week, he's still 50-1. Granted, it's the AL versus the NL market, but I'd much rather have Grayson at 50-1, G-Rod over Hunter Green at 4-1. And then, talking about dumb overreactions in these markets, I obviously got to talk about the MLB MVP market. AL MVP, particularly Vlad, all the way down to 2-1 after 8 games. I don't really get that. The Blue Jays are still about a 500 team through the first 10 games of the season. Vlad had 3 home runs in that one game. He had a home run this weekend. Congratulations. But I don't know how the Westgate ended up dropping him to 2-1, making Ohtani 6-1. They increased his price 50%. Because he gave up a grand slam and started the season 3 for 21, I just thought that was small sample size or bad bookmaking, one of the two. But I'm glad they adjusted it back. I don't know how much money they took on Ohtani. I'm unfortunately just maxed out on Ohtani at the moment, so I couldn't bet more at 6-1. I really wanted to. It's giving me like 50% over the price I was happy to bet preseason at 4-1. But yeah, I don't understand the logic in that kind of stuff, other than potentially you have a huge liability on Vlad already. But I always notice, I pointed out, the Westgate, they've always had a love affair with Vlad Jr. since he was a rookie, and they opened him like -200, -300 versus the field in the AL Rookie of the Year market. I pointed out that number was wrong in 2019, and I think these numbers are not correct again. Other than trying to reduce exposure or limit, getting more exposure to Vlad, I just don't know why you lower this number so much so early. He's great, he's Vlad Jr., but it just you're not giving him the MVP for being on a 500 team, and not when Ohtani's pitching, and the small sample size stuff will all even itself out. But Ohtani ended up, he started out in a little bit of a slump at 3 home runs this weekend. Looks fine, so I'd be shocked if we see a 6-1 again on Ohtani anytime soon. It's very much Ohtani versus Vlad versus everybody else for AL MVP. Byron Buxton got injured again. He was very popular preseason. He's already back up to 18-1. So if you missed any of those early numbers, rest assured that Buxton is going to jump back up. He'll probably be 20-1, 25-1 sooner than later. I'd rather bet Wander Franco or Jose Ramirez at similar numbers if I was looking for a non-Ohtani guy to back, but I am mostly on Ohtani when it comes to AL MVP, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I don't see anybody in the beyond 30-1 tier that really stands out. I think Jose Abreu at 60-1, kind of worth a little bit maybe, but I don't think he's going to get a second MVP. I think he got lucky to win the first one. And then Carlos Correa, 100-1, is a better value to me than his teammate Byron Buxton at 18 or 20 or 25. So all that said, I was railing on no score first inning bets at the start of this show, and I'm not going to subject you to more railing on first inning bets here are no score first inning bets, but I will give you the yes score first inning bets that I bet today, with the explanation that the bets I do make on the first innings are all price based. If I say the price and your price is probably more than 5 cents off, you shouldn't bet it. You probably shouldn't even bet it if it's 5 cents off, but there's a tiny bit of leeway in these numbers. Beyond that, though, if I say I bet something at plus 130 and your number is plus 105 or even money or whatever, don't bet it. It's not a good bet at a different number. All these bets are price dependent, and if somebody's giving you no score bets, that's what you should be asking them is, what's the fair value of the bet? Because I can give you fair values for all these numbers if needed, or if I wanted to. I don't have the fair value numbers in front of me at this exact moment, but I could, I know more or less what they are. But so these are my 6 yes score bets today. It's Monday, so I'm going to start off slightly more aggressive than I might be on a Sunday. But also, all 6 of these are good numbers, so really all it comes down to is volume here. If you're betting good numbers, then you just want the most volume you can get, and over time, I know these are going to be a winner. So without further ado, these are the 6 first inning bets that I bet today. Giants, Mets, yes, plus 130. Pirates, Brewers, yes, plus 110. Reds, Padres, yes, plus 110. Braves, Dodgers, yes, plus 100. O's, A's, yes, plus 120, and the Rays, Cubs, yes, even money, plus 100. So 130, 110, 110, even, 120, even are my 6 first innings today. Remember, they're all price dependent, and that's how you win at these, is staying disciplined in the numbers. I also bet the Astros Mariners hits, runs, errors line, HRE. Some people abbreviate it. Some people say hits, runs, errors. I usually say HRE, or I type out HRE when I'm talking to other people and texting about it. I bet under 27.5 minus 130 on the Astros Mariners HRE line. So 7 prop bets for tonight's games. I don't have any sides because the 2 games, I had 2 totals on the Nats game and the White Sox, which both got rained out. So lost my two two bets for Monday on the sides there. I thought I'd just give out some props instead. I was railing on props at the beginning of the show, and I don't have problem with people giving out props, but if you're gonna give them out, you might as well have a clue of what you're doing when you're doing it. So those are my bets for today. Hopefully start the week strong. And then DeGrom, Cy Young, 100-1 at the Westgate. I think that number is way too high. It's probably going to move in the next couple hours. I've noticed that stuff I give out is starting to move a lot quicker, a lot more frequency in the last couple months, so I try to at least give it out here so the listeners get it, because if I type it on Twitter, it's just going to be a free-for-all. But yeah, if you listen to the show today, hopefully you got some prop bets that are going to win tonight, and a nice chance to get DeGrom, Cy Young at a big number. So 100-1 there. Thank you for listening. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with good advice, not bad advice. And remember, the hardest thing to do in gambling is to unlearn bad habits that somebody else taught you. So think about that. I'll be back tomorrow.